beautiful good afternoon from my country number 48. I just landed in Canada. I am so happy to be here. It's my first time in the American continent. I've been here only for a couple of hours and I'm already in love with this marvelous city. Concretely, I'm talking about Montreal.
This vibrant destination is the biggest French-speaking city in North America and is one of my personal favorite cities in the world.
Welcome to Montreal. I've been wanting to go here since forever.
You can see why people want to live here. This place is beautiful, stunning.
The buildings around here are stunning.
How is this real?
Yeah, this is crazy.
Quebec is so old, it gives that Euro vibe. It's truly a treasure for the eyes.
Seriously, Quebec is like no other province in Canada. This has a style and a flair to it, maybe because of just being the old style. I don't know, but whatever happened as Canada grew, it lost this. It's so cool here.
Most of the buildings here are just unreal.
Super cool. This whole city is peppered with amazing old buildings.
All the buildings here are so pretty, which is saying something because we've just spent 3 months in Europe. I mean, come on.
Oh my goodness, it really is so pretty.
I know LA looks nice, but nothing like this. Yeah, I can't even compare.
You guys have to see this. Just walking down like the main shopping district, and there's this giant, beautiful cathedral in the background. That's amazing. You never see this kind of stuff in like California. Like it just doesn't happen.
We literally turned the corner and came across this huge, beautiful church. Oh, I love this city for stuff like this.
Almost lost track of what city I was in. Where are we?
Whoa, that is so cool.
Suddenly, we're in France.
Look at this. Okay, now this is getting crazy.
Apparently Montreal was once known as the city of churches.
You feel like you've woken up in Europe as you walk from church to church, savoring the sights and sounds of Montreal.
Do you hear that bell? It's right next to our window.
100 years ago, the skyline of Montreal was dominated by spires. On a visit here, Mark Twain said, "It is impossible to throw a rock in Montreal without hitting a church window."
Look at that. Jesus, isn't that astounding? Man, that is absolutely ancient.
There's another church over there.
It's like church after church.
Yeah, it's church. It's insane.
Montreal is a city with a huge number of monumental churches, temples, and cathedrals. When you are nearby, you feel the monumentality of each building.
In Quebec, our churches are essentially our castles. They are the most beautiful buildings in our neighborhoods, villages, and cities.
The province of Quebec has the highest ratio per capita of churches in North America.
No city is richer in cathedrals than churches, for Montreal's history has been closely associated with the church. These many fine structures of every denomination are living proof of the wide diversity and tolerance to be found within the city.
There are over 600 religious institutions here, churches after churches after churches.
Montreal is home to more than 700 churches, 450 of which date to the 1800s or earlier. I wonder how old that one is. It's probably one of the most beautiful churches I've ever seen.
Oh my God, seriously, this is just so beautiful.
In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Montreal built dozens of churches with impressive architecture and lavish interiors. The reason is because the Bishop of Montreal at the time was very connected to Rome. So instead of trying to replicate French cathedrals, he wanted to create the Rome of the Americas.
Every one of the religious structures here are gorgeous enough to make me want to get on my knees and pray.
If you look behind me, there's this absolutely gorgeous church over here. I don't know what it is or if it's actually open anymore because it's like gated off.
The French people are very nice. They're very nice, except towards religion.
So if you didn't know, the province of Quebec used to be deeply Catholic.
Quebec's spiritual transformation is one of the most fascinating cultural shifts in modern history.
Quebec in the 1950s was one of the world's most religiously active societies. Weekly mass attendance routinely reached a staggering 90%. But in the 1960s, Quebec experienced a cultural and political transformation.
For centuries, the Catholic Church dominated nearly every aspect of life in the province. But the 1960s brought the Quiet Revolution, a period of rapid secularization that saw church attendance plummet and religious authority diminish.
A more confident and educated population quickly shed their previous habits, and church attendance began plummeting.
I'll stop going to church. Everybody stopped going to church. It became the culture to dislike the church. In fact, all of their swear words are church words.
Spent some time in Quebec. I love Quebec. My favorite part of the Quebecois culture is the curse words. The curse words in Quebec are just Catholic objects in French. Tabernacle, hostie. They're just saying nouns. You're a chair. Well, then you're a table. Fellas, there's children present.
You'll hear people start yelling out all these words from scripture, and to you it's just nothing, but to them it's a very bad word.
In about a single generation, one of the world's most religious societies became one of the least.
Many of the churches in Montreal are completely unique and unlike anything else in North America.
Oh wow. We're currently in the more northeastern part of the island of Montreal, and that is the oldest Catholic church in all of Montreal. Look how beautiful that is.
In the northern part of Montreal stands one of Canada's most historically significant buildings. The Church of the Visitation of the Blessed Virgin Mary is the oldest still standing church on the island of Montreal, completed in 1752, which means it dates to the days of New France.
C'est un bâtiment qui était seulement fonctionnel. Alors l'édifice à l'origine n'avait seulement un petit clocher.
The original building had only one small bell tower, but a renovation in the 1850s gave it a new facade and 2 large bell towers.
Ce qui est amusant, c'est que celui qui fait la façade, John Hostel en 1851, c'est un Anglais. Il a fait par exemple les clochers de la Basilique Notre-Dame.
One of its unique features is its architectural style, listed as traditional Quebec, built with field stones, making it the only such church of its type on the island of Montreal. The interior was decorated in the classical style by Philippe Liebert, who completed his work in 1798. After decades of wear, the interior was completely renovated in the late 2010s, with the vault, moldings, and gilding being repainted and retouched.
This is one site I wanted to check out that wasn't in downtown, so take a quick stop here.
Well, in my never-ending quest to see amazing architecture, right here's one of them I really wanted to see. Look at this. Wow.
So this chapel wasn't on our list, but we are so lucky that we came across it because this is one of the oldest chapels in Montreal.
Bon Secours Church, founded as a chapel in 1657, erected in full sight of the river, it is known as the Sailors' Church.
This was obviously once a port town, and so therefore you can see behind me Mary stretching out her hands to the waters, trying to keep the sailors safe.
Mariners and their families would worship here, one of Quebec's oldest churches, praying for safety while sailing the Atlantic.
The original chapel burned down in 1754, and a new larger chapel was built, opening in 1773.
This was the spot of the first stone chapel in Montreal. 1678 is when the chapel officially opened, and you can see the stone here.
On the information about this chapel, it says the interior is simple. I'm not entirely sure I would call this simple.
Oh, take a look at that. That is incredible.
The chapel is highly ornate, using a number of different decorative elements. The altar, as the main focal point, has elaborate decorative carvings such as the marble pilasters and draped swag.
The peaceful environment and its link to Montreal's past made this such a beautiful and special experience.
Wow, that's really cool, actually. I was not expecting to just walk into that place.
You can't go wide when it's open without taking a look. So Notre-Dame de Bon Secours, another beautiful church.
It's really beautiful in here. It's full of history.
Wow, I remember this church. Look how beautiful it is. I used to pass it every day going to work in the bus. Gorgeous, right?
The Church of the Immaculate Conception was completed in 1898 on the northeastern corner of LaFontaine Park. Thick clay in the area meant the foundations had to be anchored directly into the bedrock, more than 30 feet deep. And because excavation equipment hadn't been invented yet, it was all done by hand. Construction was so difficult and dangerous that priests prayed regularly for the security of the workers. The interior of the church is a tribute to the Virgin Mary. The stained glass, paintings, and sculptures all represent Mary during different stages of her life. It also holds the distinction of being the first church in Canada that was electrified, and the first church in the Americas to use steel in its construction. allowing the nave to be column-free.
A lot of big churches, they have like a different kind of beauty viewed from a distance. So I took the bus for about 15 minutes to this little neighborhood called Little Burgundy. The name of this church, I think, is St. Irenaeus. It's pretty close to Atwater Market.
St. Irenaeus Church in Little Burgundy, completed in 1908, was full of children when it caught fire on October 31st, 1911. Luckily, the 600 children inside were able to escape the blaze unharmed, but the building was completely destroyed. The structure we see today was completed in 1912 and has become a focal point on Avenue Atwater, situated next to an important Montreal Metro transfer station.
This is the inside of the church that I just sketched. And I think there's a Sunday service going on here right now.
St. Cunégonde Church in Little Burgundy opened its first chapel in 1874, named after the wife of King Henry II, Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. As the number of parishioners increased, a new church was needed, which opened in 1877. Crowned with a 70-meter high bell tower, the church was completely destroyed by fire in January 1904. A new massive church followed in 1906, surmounted by two pavilion-type bell towers. The facade is imposing with a large portal above the entrance.
I think there's a nice church here. Oh yeah, look at this beautiful church. Oh, I'm gonna have to cross the street to get a load of that. Isn't that astounding? Man, that is ancient.
The interior is incredibly unique, with a vault of 30 meters and no columns, lit by a series of high windows that completely encircle the nave. Richly decorated with paintings and frescoes, the Baroque Revival interior reflects the era in which it was completed.
Amazing, amazing, ornate details. It's fun to play a tourist in your own town, you know?
Yeah, a load of this church.
Wow, that's impressive.
Very beautiful building across the street. I mean, honestly, you want to try and step inside?
St. Michael's and St. Anthony's, built for the Irish, but in a Byzantine style. It's now a Polish church.
This Polish church has an Italian saint in it, and the Mass is given in several different languages, and the architecture of it, of course, is completely wild. The Church of St. Michael and St. Anthony in Mile End was originally built for the Irish, but is now more frequented by Poles and Italians, exemplifying its unique cultural hybridity.
That is one big mosque. All right, so that's actually not a mosque, it's a Catholic church.
Completed in 1915, the church is famous for its Byzantine Revival architecture, complete with a dome and minaret-style tower, and was inspired by the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul.
Oh, this is stunning.
The church features windows reminiscent of Middle-Age castles, and the interior dome is painted with a neo-Renaissance fresco of St. Michael watching the fall of the angels, painted by Guido Nincheri.
This church has a very special look. So we went outside, sitting on the other side of the street, has a better view of this church.
This church was built in 1857.
The Church of St. Baby Jesus in Mile End was inaugurated in 1857 by Victor Borgo. The exterior reflects the Baroque exuberance of the Latin American style.
Gorgeous architecture.
Above a portico with 7 bays, inspired by the Italian Renaissance, rises one of the most detailed stone facades in Quebec.
C'est une église où il y a des œuvres extraordinaires, il y a des vitraux magnifiques. C'est un des cœurs de Montréal.
No, this place is definitely well maintained. Oh, totally. It's just well built.
We are at the Fairmont Queen Elizabeth. It's my first time in Montreal and I'm so excited. Oh my god, look at this view. What building is this? This is so cool.
Whoa, look at this place.
Wow, look at this place.
Wow, take a look at this basilica.
Most of the times when I Google Montreal, this church pops up.
Another, intense architectural feat.
Guys, this is the Basilica, Marie Reine du Monde. Isn't that beautiful?
Mary, Queen of the World Cathedral, is one of the most important churches in Montreal, and its stunning green dome can be spied from many vantage points across the city.
I saw a large building in the distance. So I went over and I checked it out since it was calling to me, and it was this gorgeous church.
When Montreal's Catholic Cathedral was lost to a fire in the 1850s, Monseigneur Bourget, Montreal's second bishop, decided to rebuild in the heart of the new downtown. The premise behind the construction of Mary Queen in the World was to recreate St. Peter's in Rome, but 1/3 the size.
Constructed between 1875 and 1894, head inside and you can find elements of Baroque and Renaissance architecture.
Oh my God.
Look at that ceiling, it's incredible.
High vaulted ceilings have a decorative carved wood pattern and are supported by columns capped with gilded Corinthian capitals.
The walls and floors are made of marble imported from Italy, featuring several mosaics. What a beautiful cathedral. Spectacular artwork.
Look at this. The dome of the cathedral, known as the apse, is positioned directly above the high altar. Meticulously detailed, it includes dormers around the circumference of the apse and an ocular window centered on the dome.
Wow. That was easily the largest church I've ever been in.
Humongous, gigantic. It's just mind-blowing.
Oh my gosh, the cathedral was so beautiful. Like the architecture and like the gilding and like just the amount of work that would have gone into that is just unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. And Sean was gobsmacked, eh? Yeah.
That's on par with a lot of what they have in Europe.
We inadvertently went to the place that I wanted to go to.
We got out of the room and we're like, oh,
That's so pretty, let's go to it.
let's go to it. That was where we were trying to go.
A beautiful church up here. Looks like there's another church over there.
Montreal is fascinating, isn't it?
Located a stone's throw from Mary Queen of the World Cathedral, St. George's Anglican Church was founded in 1843, with the present-day church completed in 1870.
Look at these guys. Definitely a stunning building.
It's a completely different vibe. I'm willing to bet this place was like a big congregation like hundreds of years ago.
Today surrounded by skyscrapers, it is a great example of English Gothic Revival architecture and was heavily inspired by 13th century religious architecture in medieval England.
We are here at St. George's Church, right near the Bell Center. Let's go inside very quietly and take a look. Oh, this is beautiful.
The interior is devoid of any pillars and is notable for its ceiling beams, which are amongst the largest in the world, second only to Westminster Hall in London.
Oh, look at the beautiful pipe organ. Check out these stained glass windows.
C'est un environnement gothique splendide. Dans la tradition anglicane, pour moi, Saint-Georges, c'est le bijou de Montréal.
I could spend a month here just walking around filming all these old buildings.
Even on a busy shopping street, you'll find gems like this. And this is all over Montreal. So you'll be walking around a street that you think is really modern, and then you'll come across something really historically significant that just stops you right in your tracks. It really has been the most memorable thing about Montreal for me so far.
It's like church after church. Wow.
Look at how beautiful this church is. We haven't seen anything like that since, I don't know, home probably?
Christ Church Cathedral was built in 1859 to serve the growing Anglican community in Montreal. At the time, the city was rapidly expanding as a major economic and cultural hub in Canada, and there was a pressing need for a larger, more prominent place of worship. Although an Anglican ministry first began in Montreal in 1760, services were originally held in chapels of the Roman Catholic Church. In 1789, the Anglican congregation officially moved into their own building, a former Jesuit church, but it was destroyed by a fire in 1803. A second church was constructed in 1814, but it too was lost in a fire. The present-day cathedral was completed in 1859 and was modeled after 14th century Gothic-style churches found in the English countryside.
Wow. Look at the workmanship.
Inside, the cathedral is just as impressive. The soaring vaulted ceilings, delicate ribbed arches, and stained glass windows transport visitors to a world of divine serenity. The high vaulted nave is designed to draw the eye upward, toward the heavens, an effect that was a hallmark of Gothic architecture. In the 1980s, a vast real estate and office tower project was undertaken on the grounds of the cathedral. The cathedral was supported on stilts while footings for a new underground mall were excavated. This project allowed for the linkage of the eastern and western branches of the underground city. The 34-floor KPMG skyscraper built behind the cathedral was also designed to fit harmoniously with the church's architecture, if viewed from St. Catherine Street.
This church is massive.
Absolutely stunning. Beautiful old building. This place is incredible. I just arrived here in the city, and this is the first thing that I noticed that I saw when I drove in.
It's a beaut. So we're going to continue walking down St. Catherine on a beautiful day. See what else we can see.
We literally turned the corner and came across this huge, beautiful church. Oh, I love this city for stuff like this.
Okay, now this is getting crazy. This is literally 2 blocks away from the church that I just posted there. I'm just blown away.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful church.
St. James United Church, with its spectacular Gothic Revival architecture and massive rose window, is almost impossible to miss when walking down St. Catherine Street.
Look at this church. It's insane.
So next to Best Buy is this cathedral here. Crazy.
Completed in 1889, the church was concealed by a commercial building for nearly 80 years, until a restoration project in 2005 allowed the facade to be seen once again.
Look at the carving in this place.
For nearly 80 years, the church was hidden behind a row of commercial buildings. Well, all that's changed. St. James United is facing the future confidently, and the face it's presenting to the city of Montreal is nothing short of spectacular.
In the early 20s, it fell upon some financial difficulties, and our foremothers and fathers of the time had to make what must have been, I mean, I can only imagine a very painful decision of what it would have been to stand there and watch it going up.
It's so exciting. I can describe the church now as the one they've just done the renovations on instead of the one with all the buildings in front of it.
I think I'm going to have to go in and take a look. What a world. Wow. Amazing.
À l'intérieur, l'église est un magnifique amphithéâtre réalisé par Alexandre Dunlop en 1889.
Quand on rentre ici, on est impressionné par le manque de colonnes. Ensuite, deuxième chose, c'est l'aspect amphithéâtre. Et ça, c'est très protestant. Ce format est très ondulé et vraiment presque unique à St. James. Enfin, à Montréal, c'est unique.
Yeah, back to Montreal. This building is gorgeous.
One of the most beautiful churches in Montreal. You look at the window, and when it's lit, it's there. It's there.
This is downtown, so there's buildings. There's not much open space in this area, and then you see this beautiful old building.
Wow, what a beautiful place.
Right around the corner from St. James is one of the city's most overlooked gems.
There's like really interesting architecture all over the city. Some that looks like centuries old.
This whole city is peppered with amazing old buildings, but they're kind of surrounded by these new glass behemoths, so it kind of hides them all.
The Church of Gesù, meaning Jesus in Italian, was built in 1865 and is a replica of the Church of Gesù in Rome. Built in the Baroque Revival style, it was planned to include 2 bell towers, but due to budget constraints, they were never completed. The elegant domed ceiling rises to a height of 23 meters, and the church is more than 47,000 square feet in size. Since 1992, it has evolved into a center of artistic creativity, with a theater, exposition halls, art workshops, and even an artist residence.
So we ended up failing to find where the village is. Instead, we found this church that we're going to go check out now.
The Church of St. Peter the Apostle, located in the Gay Village, is of great renown in Quebec. Completed in 1853 by Victor Bourgeot, the architect who designed the interior of Notre-Dame Basilica, the neo-Gothic structure utilized a number of firsts in Canada, such as the use of stone throughout the entire building, including the columns.
On a une colonne, une vraie colonne en pierre ici, comme on en faisait dans l'architecture médiévale. D'ailleurs, on voit qu'elle n'est pas finie en haut. Le bandeau n'est pas sculpté, les chapiteaux ne sont pas sculptés. Puis tout à coup, ça arrête.
Chaque espace entre les arcades est peint d'un motif en feuilles d'acanthe dorées qui entoure le profil d'un ange. Les fresques de l'église sont l'œuvre de l'artiste canadien d'origine italienne, Guido Ninchiri.
Its design and artistic elements would end up being copied all over Quebec in the decades that followed. It has also become the parish of Montreal's gay community, with a large rainbow flag above the altar and a memorial dedicated to victims of the AIDS crisis.
So we're actually in a Catholic church, and there's a massive
rainbow flag hanging up. And honestly, whether you're into religion or not, it's pretty powerful.
Located a few blocks north, still in the Gay Village on Ontario Street, sits a church that possesses one of the most stunning altarpieces in Canada.
If you look behind me, there's this absolutely gorgeous church over here.
The Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus was inaugurated on Christmas Day, 1887. Distinguished by its flamboyant Gothic architecture, it also possessed an 80-meter bell tower, but a fire in April 1922 destroyed most of the church. Rebuilt without its tower the following year, the new interior became one of the most spectacular in Quebec, with a masterful altarpiece of white marble, adorned with a series of intricate carvings representing biblical scenes.
So you'd think by this point now we would be churched out with all the churches that we've seen in Montreal, but it's impossible not to stop at such a peaceful looking place like this.
I decided to take a break by sitting down here around Cotton Age neighborhood to sketch this mundane church with some evergreens beside it.
This building looks very old, but also in very good condition.
If you look to the right as you exit the Mount Royal metro station, you'll see an old building that doesn't look like much from the outside. However, the inside is something special. The Sanctuary of the Holy Sacrament was completed in 1892, built mostly of wood, and decorated in rich, warm colors. Declared a historic monument by the Quebec government in 1979, it suffered a devastating fire in 1982, but was meticulously rebuilt to its former splendor the following year. Unique among places of worship in Montreal, confession is offered in French, English, Czech, Vietnamese, and Spanish.
While walking, we also came across this church here. I think it's the Jean-Baptiste church. It looked really solid, but weathered, but really beautiful.
The Church of St. Jean-Baptiste is one of the largest in Montreal, capable of accommodating 2,800 people. Built in 1872, it was destroyed twice by fire, but due to its importance in the neighborhood, it was rebuilt every time, with the most recent structure having been completed in 1912.
Oh, look at this. Is this a church? Or yeah, I think it is. Beautiful.
While the exterior features influences of Renaissance Revival and neoclassical styles, the interior is inspired by Baroque Revival, with warm colors and a high vaulted ceiling and dome.
C'est plutôt une salle assez chaleureux, comme tu vois.
Located on Rachel Street in the Plateau, it has become a popular setting for concerts and events, and even hosted Black Fashion Week in 2015.
L'église Saint-Jean-Baptiste de Montréal a accueilli les 16 et 17 mai la Black Fashion Week.
À première vue, dans une église, c'est peut-être pas la meilleure place pour le faire, mais quand tu vois qu'est-ce qui a été fait à l'intérieur, c'est quelque chose d'invraisemblable.
Le prêtre a l'esprit ouvert, à condition de respecter quelques règles.
On respecte ce lieu, ils nous ont déjà permis de défiler, c'est extraordinaire. Je veux dire, personne ne me permettra de défiler dans une mosquée. Je suis musulmane, donc j'ai aucune honte ni peur de le dire. Donc il faut savoir, c'est un lieu de Dieu, c'est un lieu de culte, et c'est un lieu magnifique. Ils aiment les choses jolies, mais c'est encore une fois montrer que la mode n'est absolument pas vulgaire. Hein. So pretty.
I took a slight detour because look at this beautiful church. I wonder how old that one is.
The Church of St. Stanislas de Kostka, first opened in 1912 in the Plateau, had to be rebuilt after a fire in December 1917. Built in the Romanesque Revival style, it also features paintings by Guido Nincheri and is nearly 64,000 square feet, making it impossible to miss while walking down St. Joseph Boulevard.
Look at that thing. That's really a stunning church. It's probably one of the most beautiful churches I've ever seen. And I've been to a lot of countries.
We just left the donut shop and came across this in Little Italy. It's beautiful. I love how you can just walk through the city and just stumble upon something so big and grand like this. It looks this beautiful.
The Church of St. Edward, first founded in 1895 during a rapid explosion of population, built their first chapel in 1896, but by 1901 it was already too small. A larger church was therefore commissioned, and was completed in 1909 in the neo-Gothic style. The interior is truly stunning. The ceilings are painted dark with beautiful details, and there are large statues located all around the church. It also hosts events and concerts.
That's such a cool venue. You can't find shit like this in Toronto.
It's kind of unbelievable to me. It's 5 hours away from Boston, but this place looks so European. Hi, ciao! I'm so excited and it's so cool here.
No visit to Little Italy would be complete without seeing Madonna della Difesa, the famed church on Dante Street that's a gathering point for Montreal's Italian community.
The Church of Our Lady of Defense, also known as Madonna della Difesa, is Canada's oldest Italian church. Italian immigration to Montreal began in the 1860s, and by the early 20th century, a church was needed for the community. Located in Little Italy, this Roman church was completed in 1919 and is known for its spectacular interior, featuring a large dome with frescoes painted by Guido Nincheri.
Go in and look up at the immense fresco. You'll see something surprising. Yes, that's Benito Mussolini, on a horse, next to angels, the Virgin Mary, and Pope Pius VI.
The church is perhaps most famous for its painting of Benito Mussolini.
There he is, Benito Mussolini, defiantly on his horse.
Famed painter Guido Nincheri, a Montrealer, painted Il Duce there at the request of the Italian community in the late 1920s. Legend has it that Montreal's Italian community was thankful to Mussolini for helping fund the Casa Italia Community Center.
Beautiful church, beautiful service in Italian. Very vibrant Italian neighborhood, Little Italy up here in Montreal still to this day.
Acclaimed as one of the greatest expressions of Italian artistry in North America, the church was designated a National Historic Site of Canada in 2002.
Today we are going to the Outremont area of Montreal. Now I'm sitting on the bench outside St. Viator's Church. If you look very carefully, this church has a very beautiful design. The cross is actually a brand new one. They just replaced.
The Church of St. Viator in Outremont was completed in 1911 and built in the neo-Gothic style, painted by famed Italian artist Guido Nincheri, in what would become his first major work in the Americas. It was this project that taught him many valuable techniques he would later use while working on dozens of other churches around Montreal and New England. It was also the site of former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau's baptism in 1919.
Guido Nincheri was a legendary Italian-born artist who immigrated to Montreal in the early 20th century and left his mark by painting hundreds of churches throughout Canada and the United States. Nicknamed the Michelangelo of Montreal, he was dubbed the church's greatest artist of religious themes by Pope Pius XI and was knighted by the Italian government in 1972. To see the church Nincheri considered his masterpiece, we'll need to head over to Westmount. The Church of St. Leon de Westmount was built in 1901 and is designed in the Romanesque Revival style. Though the exterior is rather simple, the interior is amongst the most colorful in Montreal. Decorated between 1901 and 1903, the ceiling features some of Nincheri's greatest work using the wet plaster bone technique.
Guido Nincheri disait que c'était l'œuvre de sa vie.
Oh my God, just look at this. Seriously, this is just so beautiful.
Declared a National Historic Site of Canada in 1997, Nincheri considered St. Leon as his greatest masterpiece.
The Church of the Most Holy Name of Jesus was the first church in the neighborhood of Maisonneuve, founded in 1888 with a small temporary chapel, but soon replaced with a stunning Romano-Byzantine temple, built between 1903 and 1906. Though it is not technically a cathedral, its massive 53,000 square feet of space is equivalent in size to many cathedrals. The interior is absolutely spectacular, characterized by an arched vault with columns and semicircular side arches. The church was also memorably featured in the 2005 film, Crazy, considered one of the greatest Quebec films of all time.
The Church of the Nativity of the Holy Virgin in the neighborhood of Hochelaga was founded in 1867, but was almost entirely lost to a fire in 1921. Rebuilt in 1924, using the original facade and bell tower which survived, the church was enlarged to the size of a cathedral with a Romano-Byzantine interior. In 1927, it became the site of one of the largest funerals in Montreal history when more than 50,000 people gathered to honor the 78 children who were killed in a fire at the nearby Laurier Palace Theatre.
Every corner that we turn in Montreal, wonderful looking architecture, historical buildings.
Absolutely magnificent architecture here in Montreal, in this building.
Okay, wow, this beautiful church. I think it's called Chapel Notre-Dame de Lourdes. So we're going to see if we can go inside.
This landmark promises not only architectural beauty, but also a moment of serenity and reflection.
The Chapel of Notre-Dame de Lourdes, opened in 1881, was the first church in the Americas with that name. The striking interior took nearly 10 years to complete, with an 11-meter-high dome and tri-lobed windows, which allows light to pass through more easily.
Wow, what a beautiful church.
Located on St. Catherine Street downtown, it's in pristine condition despite its age.
This church is immaculate. Absolute perfection. If you're ever in Montreal, there are a lot of churches, but this, as you just saw, is a beauty. Wow, I'm glad I went in.
We're in downtown Montreal this morning, standing outside St. Patrick's Basilica on our Irish Ancestry Trail. This basilica is now situated among skyscrapers, but it was built and completed by the Irish, and they had their first Mass here in 1847 on St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Basilica was completed in 1847 in the Gothic Revival style and is considered one of the most magnificent examples of its style in Canada.
We're in St. Patrick's Cathedral in Montreal. It's very beautiful and very big. One of the best I've ever seen.
It's incredibly ornate. A very beautiful church.
Built to accommodate the rapidly expanding Irish population in the 1840s, it predates New York City's famous St. Patrick's Cathedral and was raised to the status of basilica in 1989.
This is incredibly elaborate. It's hard not to get lost in the frivolous nature of the architecture.
The altar kind of looks like Petra.
Oh yeah,
it's like Petra.
Like Petra. Absolutely.
So we're in Charlevoix now. Just magnificent.
The Church of St. Charles was completed in 1916, a replacement for the previous chapel, which was built in 1891, but lost in a fire. The interior is breathtaking, with a large glass dome and marble columns.
Right next to it is just as magnificent a church.
While St. Charles was mostly frequented by French Canadians, the Irish built their own church next door in 1890, St. Gabriel. The windows are made of frosted glass, and the high altar is made of carved oak, while the old stone walls envelop the entire space.
Pretty good, Montreal.
Although both churches have suffered from fires and aging neglect in recent years, they have been regarded as landmarks of the neighborhood of Point St. Charles for over 100 years.
So big, huge church, St. Anthony de Padua. Very lovely.
Although not located on the island of Montreal, the spectacular Cathedral of St. Antoine on the South Shore is definitely worth the detour. The parish of St. Antoine de Padoue was first founded in 1698, making it one of the oldest in Canada. The cathedral began construction in 1884 on the site of a fort from the 1680s and contains its archaeological remains. Constructed in the Gothic Revival style, the church is massive, measuring 74 meters long by 41 meters wide and 81 meters in height, with a stunning Byzantine Revival-style dome.
Has to be one of the most dramatic churches I have ever seen.
We were just absolutely mind-blown with how incredible that place was.
During the 17th century, the neighborhood of Verdun was named Argule, a term used by the musketeers of the 16th century who were renowned for their effectiveness. This was a strategic fortification of Ville-Marie where the population frequently took refuge during the Native American attacks. Now, one of Verdun's buildings isn't quite as old, but it's still celebrating its 100th year. And I'm talking about the Church of Notre-Dame Basilica.
It's a really beautiful church that I've walked by a million times and I never had a chance to go inside, but it's open today.
The Church of Our Lady of the Seven Sorrows in Verdun was completed in 1914 on Wellington Street. The exterior, with its monumental facade and two large bell towers, is neoclassical in style, while its interior is Baroque.
Beautiful church.
This place is breathtaking and magnificent beyond words.
In Verdun, there's some few heritage buildings. This one is one of them.
This building is important as a witness of the implication of the community. It's the heart of Verdun.
The stained glass are something very particular for this building. It has been installed in 1927. And also the altars also are very something very special. They are in marble, coming from Italy.
Just look at this beautiful details here. Absolutely breathtaking. Look at the ceilings, magnificent. Oh, and look at this. And in the back, over there, they are also currently hosting a Lego Expo. This is Notre-Dame des Sept Douleurs, all out of Lego, 110 years old.
People come in the church and we show them the place, and also we're trying to have them appreciate. It's an heritage for Regnet, also for Quebecers. Since few years, we've been working to find money to restore the building. When you came in, you saw that there's some restoration work. This is what we're working for.
The province's dioceses are speedily closing or emerging once thriving parishes. The weekly attendance rate today is around 4%, low even by European standards. Hundreds of former churches have been demolished or repurposed as homes or commercial establishments, and there are dozens more awaiting their fate.
We want to continue, and by the grace of God, we will.
Montreal's 163-year-old Anglican church, St. John the Evangelist, also known as the Red Roof Church, was set to close its doors last year due to a lack of funding. Generous donations saved it from folding, but it's barely making ends meet.
We need to do repairs, some problems with the building.
The church is working with the city of Montreal and looking for developers to help them rebuild and remain for a very long time.
Something of great value would be lost if this church were to close.
And at this fire in Hochelaga de Maisonneuve, they've said this is a third alarm right now. This window right here was recently broken.
Inside Saint-Eusèbe, there's mold, asbestos, bird poop left behind by a growing flock of pigeons, and one very fed-up pastor.
It's dangerous. It's for that we put some barricade.
He's talking about the rotating cast of teenage trespassers who break into the building. They call themselves urban explorers. A 3-meter-high plywood wall has been put up around the church after the city hit the parish with nearly $250,000 in fines for letting the place fall into disrepair. On the outside, bricks were falling off this wall. The real solution, he says, is to turn the space into 200 homes, a plan he wants fast-tracked.
Ça, c'est une église qui a été transformée en appartement.
That is one big church.
In the Little Italy neighborhood, the former 1926 Church of St. John of the Cross was successfully converted to condos in 2002, seamlessly blending historical architecture with contemporary living.
They've actually incorporated those unused churches into new buildings, a little bit like this one here. The front of the church has been incorporated into the building that is now the university.
Built in 1825, St. Jacques Cathedral was the home of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Montreal until its destruction in the Great Fire of 1852, when 1/4 of the entire city was destroyed. The Archdiocese of Montreal would later build and relocate to Mary Queen of the World Cathedral. Rebuilt several times over the next century, the only remaining pieces include the spire from 1876 and a transept from 1889. The building was integrated into one of the pavilions of the University of Quebec in 1973.
Approaching a rather magnificent church. It's a massive red door.
And I've also just found one that backs onto a hospital, and the church is part of it.
Okay, this is the weirdest thing ever. I see this random church tower in Montreal, and I walk towards it thinking it's a church. I come closer. It's not church, it's just a tower. And then I walk inside, and it's just like, it's a fire escape.
Some churches are destroyed to accommodate new projects, or in the case of the St. Sauveur Church, only partially destroyed. To make way for the new super hospital in the 2010s, the long-time abandoned church from 1865 had to be torn down, but the bell tower was saved and rebuilt within the new hospital complex.
So this is inside this kind of church tower. Like, I mean, up here, it looks like a church, but then all the way down, it's just a fire escape. They even have some stained glass windows, God knows why.
Alors, je suis rentrée dans l'édifice et là, quelle beauté. Je suis tombée en amour, alors on a décidé de faire un projet. On a la vision que ça va être une salle d'événement qui va être très haut de gamme pour la communauté, mais pour plusieurs usages.
The former church of St. Joseph was built in 1861, making it one of the oldest remaining churches in the Southwest Borough. Now known as the Richmond Salon, it is a historic venue suitable for various events, including banquets, cocktail receptions, weddings, parties, and concerts. The building is also surrounded by an urban garden and hosts several events, conferences, and training sessions for tenants and local residents.
C'est formidable. C'est formidable parce que je veux pas que l'édifice va être détruit. Je veux que c'est encore un cœur de la communauté ici.
In the case of the St. Vincent of Paul Church, which dates to 1928, the neglected structure was completely renovated and turned into the Cartier Theater. It now hosts a variety of events, including galas, fundraisers, live concerts, weddings, corporate events, and even TV shows, providing a spectacular location for a date night on The Bachelor.
God. Incredible. Not bad at all. It feels great. It feels amazing to get a rose from him tonight.
So the area that we're in today is called the Golden Square Mile. It's a very cool neighborhood.
So this here was a church at one time, but it's technically part of Museum of Fine Arts.
The Erskine, an American United Church, was completed in 1894. The richly textured exterior is an example of Romanesque revival architecture, while the interior is a brilliant example of a 19th century amphitheater plan.
But basically this goes underground and leads to this, which is the main building for the museum.
The church closed in 2004 and was bought by the nearby Montreal Museum of Fine Arts in 2008, when it was renovated into a new pavilion for the museum under the name Borgie Hall.
There's another building, I think this is an actual church here.
This was a recommendation from a friend, so I'm curious to check that out.
There's the name right there. The Church of St. Andrew and St. Paul. Wow, beautiful.
Oh, there's even a super nice church, looks like, at the end of the street. More than a few churches in this city that are really nice.
No church tour of Montreal is complete without a visit to the two most famous churches in the city, and perhaps the entire country, Notre-Dame Basilica and St. Joseph's Oratory.
What a gigantic structure. Wow, so nice.
On the other end of the triple-peaked Mount Royal sits a mind-boggling structure that towers over the entire city.
How nuts is that? I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
Do not miss in Montreal St. Joseph's Oratory. You can see it right behind me. It's the largest shrine in the world dedicated to St. Joseph, the earthly father of Jesus Christ.
One of the most iconic landmarks here in Montreal. I didn't expect this church to be so massive.
Its girth is so massive that it could hold within itself any one of the world's great shrines.
Visitors from all over the world have come to the city to see this architectural marvel.
The minute you see this place, even if you don't know the background and the history, you sort of fall in love.
Can you see it now? We made it here. Wow.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, this is one of the must-do places in Montreal. The view, guys, is just amazing.
There are people up there, look at that, and look how small they are compared to that massive dome.
It has the largest dome structure in all of the Americas.
It is Canada's largest church with one of the largest church domes in the world, founded in 1904.
The story of St. Joseph's Oratory began in 1904 with a modest prayer chapel founded by Brother Andre.
Brother Andre urges everyone to turn to St. Joseph. Soon, reports of miracles spread far and wide.
Believed to possess healing powers, Brother Andre quickly attracted attention, and the chapel soon evolved into a large basilica.
Recognizing his impact, the Congregation of Holy Cross approved his request to build a larger church in honor of St. Joseph. Construction of the basilica began in the 1920s.
As the world-famous dome was under construction in 1937, Brother Andre passed away. But the iconic oratory officially opened about 20 years later and continues to stand tall, overlooking the city.
By 1967, the oratory's dome was finally complete and became the second largest of its kind in the world, after St. Peter's in Rome.
Today, his dream is a reality. St. Joseph's Oratory is Canada's largest church and the preeminent international center of devotion to St. Joseph.
Absolutely a breathtaking church. I was at complete awe, and I'm not usually that big on churches, but this one, wow.
It was surreal up here. I grew up as a Catholic. I got extremely emotional being here.
You guys, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Wow, absolutely majestic. I never expected it to be this big.
I came here about 11 years ago during my wife and I honeymoon. This is a hidden gem.
People come from all walks of life, not only the Catholics, but also the Christians from different denominations, Hindus and Sikhs and Muslims, and all people, Jewish people, all come and pray here. The experience is amazing.
We met Ken, who said he didn't have a devotion to St. Joseph, but that changed when he found this place.
I'm not really a devotee of St. Joseph before, but when I came here in Montreal as a working man, and now I do.
They pray to Joseph and another local, born in 1845, who gained a reputation as the miracle worker of Montreal, who founded this world-renowned holy site.
For us, it's important. He's a local, so he's our saint.
As the day ends, the sunset view from here is absolutely magical. If you're visiting Montreal, this is one spot you don't want to miss.
Now, I knew this place was popular with tourists, but what I didn't expect was how many locals are here, having a beer, having a little picnic. They seem to be enjoying the spot as a sunset view over Montreal, kind of reminiscent of Sacré-Cœur in the north of Paris.
But now that I see the view, maybe I wasn't wrong to come here later in the day. This is something. Montreal is truly one of the most beautiful cities.
It's an absolutely beautiful evening here in Montreal. I'm standing in front of Notre-Dame Basilica here in the old city. Cannot wait to go inside tomorrow.
Oh, this is it. This is the Notre-Dame Cathedral.
Did you know that Montreal has its own Notre-Dame? It's the Notre-Dame Basilica, not the cathedral, a very similar look-alike.
Oh my God, there it is. How beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I've just always wanted to see it.
And here it is. The Notre-Dame Basilica is one of Montreal's most stunning landmarks, known for its dramatic Gothic Revival architecture.
So as you're walking around Montreal, you'll see a lot of iconic churches, but the most iconic of them all is the Notre-Dame.
Way back when I was 17 years old, I came to Montreal. I came into this cathedral, and I swear it changed my life.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning inside if you're coming here and it's opened up.
It's a must-do.
This basilica is nearly 200 years old, and the architecture is absolutely mind-blowing.
The church was first built in 1672. However, in 1824 the rebuild began to create a church that could hold up to 10,000 people.
The new Notre-Dame was completed in 1829 and became the largest church in all of North America.
I was in awe upon entering the church. Beautiful was an understatement.
This is amazing.
Insane. Absolutely incredible.
Stunning. Stunning. You cannot take enough pictures. The videos that I took for you guys does not do it justice.
We've been in a few churches in Europe, and I think this honestly definitely rivals them for sure.
It was honestly absolutely breathtaking. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this in my entire life.
È la più bella che ho visto finora.
Where are we right now? This is insane. This is like a flipping castle. Wow. I'm so blown away right now.
Oh my god, that architecture. They don't make buildings like these anymore. That's kind of sad, but like, I'm so glad we got to see that.
That was amazing. I would say it's better than St. Peter's on the inside.
Wow. I don't know if I've ever seen a church that beautiful before.
I feel like that's one of the top 5, maybe, most beautiful cathedrals I've ever seen anywhere in the world. I've seen quite a few.
Je pense que c'est de loin la plus belle cathédrale que j'ai jamais vue de ma vie. Vraiment.
Say what you will, it's beautiful. One must appreciate their ability to craftsmanship. And like, I've seen all these churches, but each one is just as breathtaking as the next. You know, it's really something in Montreal.
They are partying in Montreal tonight.
This is one place that I am really, really gonna miss. I'm sad that we're going home.
There's so much history and beautiful architecture. I love it, and I'm already planning living here someday.